Can you imagine a world in which like shit like this happens, and then they come out, the transportation comes out of the gate swinging and says this?
Look, rail safety is something that that has evolved a lot over the years, but there's clearly more that needs to be done because while this horrible situation has gotten a particularly high amount of attention, there are roughly 1,000 cases a year of a train derailing.
You know, it's so much worse than you think, guys. You don't understand. So the point is, like, shit like this happens in any other country, okay? In any other country, there's at least some level of punishment. Even in America, David Sirota was talking about this, and I think it's correct. Even in America, there used to be like resignations that happened under the Bush administration with the FEMA director, for example, like after Katrina. Nowadays, that shit doesn't happen anymore. It's just like expected. Political polarization has firmly created these two camps where it's like, who cares? Yeah, our guy's incompetent. Fuck you. The other guy's even worse. So fuck yourself. And there's no shame. Like there is absolutely zero shame whatsoever. We just basically fucking look to the people that we vote for and assume that they have no power. In many instances, they're not expected to do anything, even if they do have the power. Let's go back to Ohio, our very own catastrophe here. And what it says about American capitalism, what it says about capitalism, what it says about deregulation as other institutions that are tasked with defending capitalism will probably shift the blame away. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what CNN says.
Not have been let back into town until all of this was done.
This morning, people in East Palestine, Ohio, scared the toxic chemicals from a massive train derailment are putting their lives at risk. Now, CNN has obtained new videos of the train before the crash, and they're helping us piece together a timeline. So let's check out some of this. First, you see videos from along the train tracks. This is in Alliance, Ohio. And you see the train passing. This is on the right side of your screen. Now, this was about 57 minutes before the crash. You can see there are no sparks. But the train keeps heading down the tracks. And by 8:12 p.m., it's in Salem. Now, you can see sparks from an apparent wheel bearing overheating. Here's another surveillance camera. Same time, same town. The train keeps going for 20 miles after that point, headed for East Palestine. And that is where it derails at 8:55, a full 43 minutes after we saw those sparks in Salem. CNN's Jason Carroll is live in East Palestine. And Jason, we just want to start with what the NTSB is saying about the video and the investigation.
Well, this is clearly going to be a key part of the investigation into what exactly...
Bro, this dude looks like the GigaChat TikTok filter. Holy shit.
...went wrong out here. And according to the NTSB, that surveillance video that you just referenced there, and I'm going to quote here, appears to show a wheel bearing in the final stage of overheat failure moments before the derailment. Now, of course, that wheel bearing is a key component, helps to connect the wheel to the axle. The parts in question have all been collected. They've been examined. They're going to be taken now to Washington, D.C., where they will be examined by investigators there at a laboratory with the NTSB. We should also tell you, Audie, that the NTSB has also collected the locomotive event recorder. That is also going to be key to the investigation going forward in terms of trying to determine exactly what went wrong.
Now, the EPA administrator actually was visiting East Palestine, and you got to speak with him. What did he tell you?
Well, it was a short conversation, but an important conversation. The EPA administrator, Michael Regan, made it very clear that he knows that people are scared, that they are very worried about their health. He also said that he knows that people do not trust the government when they say that the air and the water is safe. Here's more of what he had to say.
You've
heard some of the stories that are coming in, people talking about having rashes, their pets getting sick, things like that.
What I would say is if anyone is experiencing any kind of adverse symptom, have their pets go to the veterinarian. They should seek medical attention. We need for this information to get to the state health departments so that we can coordinate and be sure that people are getting the help that they need.
Can you help us clear up what specifically you're testing for? Is it just for vinyl chloride?
We are testing for the full breadth of toxic chemicals that were on that train that was spilled. We have the capabilities to detect every single adverse impact that would result from that spill, and that's what we're doing. We will be here for as long as it takes to see this process through. I want to assure the people of East...
I just want to say, when you say as long as it takes, I think the question is long term. Is someone going to be here a year from now, 2 years from now to come back, test the water, test the soil?
I'm very clear when I say as long as it takes. We will go through this process with the citizens of East Palestine for as long as it takes. The federal government will be here for as long as it takes.
So again, you heard it there. Audie, the EPA administrator, says as long as it takes, whatever that ends up being. Also want to tell you that Ohio's governor has asked the CDC to get involved. He wants CDC experts here on the ground to examine people who say they are having symptoms. Audie?
Jason Carroll, thank you for your reporting.
Joining us now is the Water Quality and Treatment Superintendent of Greater Cincinnati Waterworks, Jeff Sweatberger. Thank you so much. You know, you serve more than 1 million people.
His name
in the
has
Cincinnati
sweat
area.
in it, bro.
80% of the drinking water from the Ohio
Talk
River.
about
So that's
dedication to
obviously why so many people
hydration.
have questions. I know you've been doing testing.
I mean, come on now. This is the best guy for the job, okay? It's such a dumb... I'm sorry, but... Yeah, he is the OG Hydra homie, okay? He is the Hydro goat.
What exactly do you test for? What does that look like?
So we're working with a lot of partners here.
Bro, with the equipment in the background and shit, dude, okay. This is one of my fascinations. I don't know if anyone else also cares about this, but I do love having, like, random fucking guys that are, like, the guy for a hyper-specific thing being interviewed. You know what I mean? Like, I trust this man. This man can tell me anything about the water supply, and I will trust it. This man has literally been working on hydration for 35 years. Not like Steven Seagal, okay? Like, straight up. This is a man who has dedicated both his hairline and his life, it seems, to making sure water is, like, at least, you know, consumable in the Cincinnati region. Like, this is not a media guy. This is not like a big corporate guy. This is just the guy. And I love seeing guys like this when they end up bringing guys like this every now and then. He's like, this dude seems...
With regional partners from u.s.epa, Ohio EPA, and especially ORSENCO, the Ohio River Valley Water Sanitation Commission. So we're working with that group, getting samples from all up and down the Ohio River, and we're bringing it here into our lab and doing these analysis. Now, fortunately, we're not finding the high concentrations that they're seeing up in the East Palestine area. Our concentrations are much less, and as it's coming down the Ohio River, what we're seeing is especially one compound that's being detected. It's called butyl acrylate. That compound is actually decreasing a bit as it's coming down the river between its volatilizing, being eaten up, but the concentration.
Yeah, I mean, the river is massive. This is like part of the reason why they fucking dump all the toxic shit into rivers. That's the reason why you can get away with, which, by the way, you shouldn't be doing, but like, that is the reason why you can get away with it, because the river dilutes it to a degree where it's like in your water supply, but it's like not at levels that are, at levels that are toxic, okay? It dilutes down the river, but still sits on the riverbed because it's denser than the water. Yeah, I'm just saying that the reason why a lot of people were saying that the people that are afraid that like everything that hits that river, it's gonna make the entirety of the river toxic. It's gonna disrupt the natural water supply for like 20 million people. That part is not true. It's still fucked up, and I don't know what level of pollution is even acceptable or appropriate, but what level of exception, what level of pollution is even, or should be allowed? Okay, I don't know. I'm not fucking Sweatburger. Okay, I'm not Mr. Sweatburger. Mr. Sweatburger is not my dad. Okay, I don't know. But I do know that, yes, a lot of this toxic waste gets diluted in the natural water supply and is not like immediately carcinogenic or ends up killing people, it seems. But having said that, can't speak for the natural water supply of at least East Palestine.
Becoming less and less as it's moving towards us.
So it's becoming less and less, but you are seeing a difference, though, since this train wreck has happened.
Yeah, so this is something that we would not have detected before. I mean, the test that we do, we have a suite of tests that we do all the time anyway to make sure that the water's safe. So if there's anything in there we don't know about, we'll detect it. This compound would have been detected in that, and we don't detect it, but we haven't detected it before. But now we're detecting it upstream of the city of Cincinnati.
One thing, Jeff, that we've heard from a lot of people is they're skeptical of the testing. I know we hear from you, we've heard from officials in East Palestine and the EPA that they're doing this testing, telling us what they see. But how do people know they can trust the testing?
Well, I think in our part, we're drinking the water too. I'm drinking it, my family's drinking it. I don't want to drink this stuff. So I want to make sure that we're doing as good a job as we can to characterize what's happening. And also looking at our treatment. We've done a lot of work looking at our treatment plant and making sure that we...
Stop. Chatters. Stop saying Sweatburger is not drinking the water. I believe him when he says it.
We can remove it, and we feel that we're...
Bro, Sweatburger is literally the fucking scientist in the zombie apocalypse, okay? That, like, nobody listens to. How are you going to sit here and act like he's... How are you going to sit here and act like he's working for the man, dude? He's working for one reason and one reason only, okay? To fucking clean the water supply. To make sure that there aren't toxic pollutants that will turn the frogs gay.
We have several barriers here. We can remove it, and even before that, we can actually shut down and not bring the water in for a while. So if we see that the contaminant's getting close to us, that's usually our first action is just shut down and let it go by altogether.
Yeah, and one aspect of this is the rain. We talked about the soil in East Palestine, the rain happening, washing it down. What concerns do you have about that?
Well, we have, fortunately, our monitoring system that we have set up will detect something else. So if something else gets washed into the river, we will detect it, and we'll have a good notice, several weeks notice probably before it would get to us. So because of this monitoring system that we have set up, we feel that we're in really good condition to be able to detect something if it does get washed out up there.
So that sounds like you're saying that if people are concerned in Cincinnati, people who are downstream from East Palestine, that they should not have concerns. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, very much. We not only in Cincinnati, but we're working with a lot of utilities up and down the river. About over 5 million people get their water from the Ohio River, and we're working with...
I'm going to be honest. The shit that they're dumping into the Ohio River on a regular basis is probably infinitely more toxic for the people of Cincinnati in general. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Like, dude. It's so strange because, like, part of me is like, great, I'm glad that people are like hysterical about this because they should be. But the other part of me is like, okay, but like there's also it's so much worse than you think. You know what I mean? Like it literally is so much worse than you actually fucking think. If you only understood how severe this is. You know what I mean? Both corroding pipes, both are, both the corroding pipes, obviously, and lead contamination, all this stuff, but also like toxic pollutants being directly dumped into the river with hopes that it dilutes far enough that it doesn't like end up, feeding you a shitload of microplastics. Oh. Long-term, sure, but this is acute danger? Yeah. Stupid question, but doesn't the U.S. Army have units specialized in chemical hazards? The U.S. Army has bases that specialize in giving chemical hazards to every person that lives in the vicinity.
With the water utilities and in a group to make sure that we're all aware of what's happening. What
Milk sizzling in coffee using East Palestine water? What the fuck? What? What the fuck is that? Isn't that normal? What? Yeah, didn't the news say not to drink the water in Ohio right now? The bubble from the bottom isn't normal? I mean, I don't know. It's TikTok. I'm not going to believe it. I'm sorry. It's TikTok. It's TikTok. Like, especially because immediately I think, okay, it's coffee. You boiled it already. The fuck are you talking about? Like, what is the argument? That it just has, like, chemicals inside of it? Still? Have you made coffee? You boil coffee to make it? You boil water. What? Boiling doesn't destroy all chemicals, but, I mean, boiling doesn't remove contaminants, just bacteria. If you shake up the milk before you pour it in your coffee, it bubbles like that, source coffee drinker. I don't know. I don't know if that, like, there's that level of contamination in it. Boiling only for bacteria doesn't work against toxins and other harmful non-organisms. There's just, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. That there is, like, that level of, there's literally oil sheen on the river. Yeah, no, I know that. But I don't think that person went into the fucking river basin or the creek and, like, dumped the fucking water in there, put it back into a coffee pot, boiled it with boiled the water, and then made the coffee. And even in that situation, it's like it probably still wouldn't be like that. They could be in Modesto, California, for all we know, from a 7-second TikTok about unknown liquids. Exactly. Meanwhile, speaking of fucking boiling the coffee, I'm boiling to serve the top of the hour ad break because I forgot to run it, just like I forgot to take my chicken out that I fucking warmed up. But if you no longer want to see those ads at the top of the hour, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky. BS and Carnage, thank you for the 10 gifted subs, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. Here's the 3-minute ad break now.
what treatment's effective and to make sure that this doesn't get into the drinking water.
How long does this change how you do your job? You know, you're monitoring now, I know 24/7 is basically what y'all have said, but how long does this go on for? Because I think a lot of the residents in East Palestine are concerned that it's a short-term attention span and not something that people will be paying attention to as long as it needs to.
Yeah. So this particular this event maybe will be maybe 3 weeks or so in duration total for us. But we had that monitoring system, so if something else comes down, we'll detect it, and then we'll start over then with the monitoring.
And some of the residents in East Palestine, just given your expertise on this, they've complained about the idea that they're told the water is safe, but they're still told to drink bottled water. How do if you live there, how do you square those two?
Well, I think what the Ohio Department of Health is saying is get your water tested. A lot of people up there in East Palestine have their own private wells. And that's a very different situation than what we have when we have a centralized drinking water system. So there is free testing that the ODH is doing for those people. So absolutely, they should have their wells tested, not just now, but later on in the future, too, to make sure that nothing else gets into there.
Does it ever become a situation where do you think that East Palestine should be designated as a Superfund site where it gets the federal attention and it changes the contamination and how they are allocating resources for it? Should it be a Superfund site?
I don't know about a Superfund site, but I certainly think that there needs to be a lot of effort put into right now to characterize what's there, to clean up what's there. But yeah, I think they do need a lot of attention up there.
All right, Jeff Swertfeger, thank you so much for sharing that expertise with us and
Not
your
a super
testing
fun
procedures.
site,
And saying,
but a super fun site.
But
Here's the EPA chief visiting Ohio train derailment site and amid health concerns among residents. Yes, I ran the ad break. If you didn't see it, you got lucky, okay? I blocked it. Congratulations.
To begin with the news, and it's not good, from Palestine, Ohio. Urgent pleas for help there after the toxic train derailment earlier this month. The EPA Administrator Michael Regan met with residents of East Palestine yesterday, and they say they need more assistance. The head of Norfolk Southern, the rail line, which operated the train, has acknowledged the company needs to, quote, make things right. Roxana Saberi is in nearby Youngstown, Ohio, with more on this story. Roxana, good morning.
Good morning, Tony. Norfolk Southern continues to pledge that it will pay for the cleanup. And federal and state officials say they're doing all they can to monitor air, water, and soil quality. But for many residents, that's not enough. They are deeply concerned about their long-term health. And for some, the frustration is reaching a breaking point.
This is disaster nightmare, something you watch on TV.
Tracy Hoffman had no idea that when the train derailed just 0.2 of a mile from her home, it would spew toxic chemicals. She fears her water and air are now contaminated and has joined one of several class action lawsuits against Norfolk Southern.
You're showering here?
Yes, I am.
You're washing your clothes?
Yes.
Are you drinking the water?
No.
And if we say that the water is safe and the air is safe, we believe it because we've tested it and the data shows it.
On a visit to East Palestine yesterday, EPA Administrator Michael Regan tried to reassure skeptical residents of their safety while rebuking the rail operator.
We are absolutely going to hold Norfolk Southern accountable.
In a statement to the community yesterday, the company said it will stay here for as long as it takes to ensure your safety and to help East Palestine recover. It's been cutting $1,000 inconvenience checks for residents.
Is $1,000 enough?
Probably not.
Michael and Cassidy Bayless and their 18-month-old son Aaron were among the hundreds of residents yesterday lining up to collect their money.
We walked in our house and everything literally started burning. Our throats, our noses.
They live just outside the evacuation zone.
How worried are you about your kids?
Yeah.
If I had the money to move away, I would.
For now, the residents of East Palestine just want answers, especially from Norfolk Southern.
What do you mean? They gave you $1,000. Why don't you just move, forehead? You know?
The company, they say, upended their lives.
It's been don't ask questions.
That's the way you feel?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm pretty peace, love, and joy. And it's not there now.
Norfolk Southern's problems are growing. Just yesterday, another one of the company's trains derailed outside of Detroit. Authorities say one of the train cars was carrying a hazardous material, liquid chlorine, but that car was not overturned and there were no leaks or spills. Gail?
Still very unsettling, Roxana, not to know exactly what you're dealing with.
I mean, yeah, you can't even sell that house, as the chatter said. Who are you going to sell your house to? Chemical Man? Aquaman's not going to live there. You're fucked. Just saying that there could be a better future.